Just going to check to make sure everything's working okay out there in the live stream land. And it looks like we are officially live on Facebook. And let's see how YouTube's playing. Sometimes YouTube takes a little bit longer. And yes, we are officially live on Facebook. And let's on the YouTubes. Okay, good. Well, hi everybody. My name is Annie Capps, and I am your Farm Conference Director. This is my second and final Q&A before we dive into the conference this weekend. And since we're using this new app, and there's a couple of different things because we're going to be at a different location this year, we've got a lot of balls in the air, and we're trying to make sure that you all have the information that you need to get the most out of your farm experience. So we've set up these Q&As just for you, really. And right now we have one person, the lovely Michael August, in the Zoom room. And I don't know if there's folks out there in the live stream land who were just hoping to eavesdrop, but maybe you didn't have any specific questions. If you do have specific questions, I encourage you to actually join the Zoom room to ask those questions. I can try to answer via the chat, but it's kind of impossible to know if I'm going to see it out there. So I'm actually going to post, hang on just a quick second, I'm going to post a link to the Zoom room, to the registration for the Zoom room. So you actually have to fill out a registration form if you would like to jump on. And while we're sort of waiting to see if anybody shows any interest in that, we will talk a little bit about what's going to go on at the conference. So the Zoom room, hold on, to the registration for the Zoom room. All right, join Zoom with questions. It's hard to do this by myself. I'm going to do it. Okay. Oops. And there's the registration. Okay. So that's taken care of. Let's get YouTube in the... Nope. Okay, good. I have been confirmed that my volume is not too loud on the live stream. So that's good. Okay. Well, one of the things that I wanted to address first and foremost about the conference is there's been some questions. We did announce quite a while ago that we were going to let you all know closer to the conference what our COVID policy was going to be, our masking, our vaccine requirements, any of that. We spent a lot of time discussing this, and initially our feeling was that we were going to go full bore, require vaccine cards and masks. And as things started to look lower risk and the community spread was very low in the area that we were going to be, we also heard from a number of you who were unhappy with that policy, and we did start to discuss whether or not we as a community wanted to be responsible for policing this mask requirement. So we quite honestly didn't feel like we could ask our volunteers to do this, and we certainly didn't want to have to do this. We're all grown-ups. We all care about each other. We all definitely don't want to get sick. And we all have our own feelings about whether or not the masks are necessary right now. I will be wearing a mask. Most of our team will be wearing a mask. And we will encourage and request kindly that you all wear a mask. It's certainly in areas that are crowded and more public and that are part of our community. Obviously, when you're performing and singing, we don't want you to sing through a mask. If you're up at the podium speaking, if you're giving a workshop presentation, or if you're eating your meal actively. Otherwise, we kindly request that you wear a mask. And that's pretty much where we're at right now. So you are all on your honor to do as you feel is best. So moving on from that, I also want to make sure that you all know, because there's several people that are having a hard time with this app. We decided after we had this wonderful experience with our virtual conference last fall that the app had a lot of benefits that we thought would be helpful for our in-person event. And they were offering us a great deal to renew. So we went ahead and did it. And the app definitely has a lot of really great features and is definitely something that can be extremely convenient and useful for those of you who are comfortable with it. We do not want anyone out there to feel pressured into using the app, feel obligated to engage in any way if this is not your comfort zone. There will be a program, there will be printed materials, there will be signage. You can go about your business at the conference without ever looking at the phone app. We encourage you, if you are using the app, to fill out your profile and make sure that you're putting information in there so that people can find you. If you're artists, it's a really great way to tell people a little bit more about you and help them find you at the conference. And I also love the fact that as things change, kind of sometimes in a moment's notice, we can let you know through the app. And if you're not using the app, you might, slim chance that you'll miss something. But we'll do our best to keep you informed through the public forums in any way that we can. Anyways, that's the end of that. So I'm here to answer your questions. And we have a couple people in the room. And I know that Michael August has a question. And it looks like Louise and Bruce are here. And so we're really happy. They're coming to their first farm ever, which is awesome. It's so hard to believe, honestly. Michael actually had a question that I think is probably on everyone's mind, and that is how to sign up for the open mic. And we will have little tickets that you fill out your name in and put into a bucket for the open mic. There's 2 open mics, one that will take place Thursday from 6 to 7:30. It's right before the Folk DJ Showcase, and this takes place on the main stage. Everybody gets to play one song, but you're on the big stage with a sound system, so you'll walk up, play your song, say a few words, say thanks, leave. And we are trying to give priority to the open mic slots to those who have fewer other showcases. So we're asking, of course, on the honor system how many showcases you have, and we'll have probably 2 buckets. If you have 1 or less showcases, you would get first pick on the open mic, and then there will be another bucket for those of you who have 2 or more showcases. And, you know, chances are we'll get through an awful lot of you. Then there's another one at noon on Friday. Is that right? Yes, at noon on Friday. And that's a 1-hour showcase. It's in the main stage. It's going to be like, you could go get something to eat and come sit down and enjoy some music. We'll draw from the same buckets. You only need to sign up once. If you don't get drawn, or if you happen to not be there for the first drawing, we'll put your name back in the hat and you'll get drawn for the second. Or hopefully you'll get drawn for the second. And it's just a lottery. So, Michael, does that answer your question? Perfect. Okay. So, hey, Louise and Bruce, you got questions?
Just one.
Do we have to really come? Can't we just do it this way? No, I'm just kidding.
You know, there was something really special about this whole virtual world. All I had to do was walk down my basement stairs and hang out here. But no, you have to come.
Okay.
It's, you know.
I have a couple of questions. They're very fundamental, but do you know if the hotel rooms have refrigerators?
Good question. Very good question. And I'm sure a lot of people will have them. I'm bringing you into the spotlight. In fact, what the heck? Let's just do gallery view because it's just 3 of us here right now. Yeah, and it's much better than my big face on the screen. So the hotels does have refrigerators, but they have a limited number. They will not put them in the room in advance. They are assigned in order of request as you walk in. So if they're out when you get there, they're out. I'm afraid that was thank you for asking that question because it is something that I wanted to put in the newsletter.
Okay.
And I need to remember to do that. So we'll be sending out an announcement about that. So we just encourage people, you know, obviously there's ice machines, bring coolers if you need to keep stuff cool.
Cool.
But if you're checking in early, I'm going to ask, we'll probably put out a plea that, you know, if you don't really need a refrigerator, don't ask for one. If you find, if we find that there's a bunch extra. So she actually wouldn't tell me how many they had. They just don't have enough to give everybody one. So
Okay.
they just first come, first serve.
Yeah, fair enough, because, yes, we always bring snacks and we have some things that we might refrigerate to put out for our showcase room, but we have a
They
cooler
taste better
too,
when they're
so.
cool.
I know. We then of course there's people that need them for medical reasons.
Right,
No,
right, that's more important.
It's much more important.
I was thinking I know that there's one peer group, there's one for the live music presenters. And I did spend a fair bit of time going through to make my agenda. I don't know if there were other peer groups. I know this DJ, but was there one for, agents and
Well,
stuff?
yeah, and unfortunately, because the schedule got pretty filled up, there wasn't really a spot where we could comfortably put just a whole bunch of peer sessions. And a lot of people wear different hats. And so kind of aligning them would mean, maybe not having them all at the same time. And because we've been doing sort of these regular monthly virtual peer sessions, we also felt like maybe we didn't necessarily need to do that. Now the app provides lots of opportunity to connect and do pop-up meetings at the conference. So hopefully anyone certainly I know the agents, there's a handful of agents this year that are coming, quite a few, in fact. And there's certainly times, I think we chose where the live music presenter peer session would live based on what else was happening workshop wise. It didn't feel like a time where those would be workshops that the presenters would necessarily be drawn to or be mind missing. So that was how we chose that. Agents, I feel like you could probably, you can get a lot out of what's going on pretty much at any given time. So yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good. And we have scheduled through the app mostly. We did some through email, but more through the app. Hey, would you like to meet for coffee or sit with us for dinner or something, because you're somebody we want to meet? And we've got some good response that way. So
good.
In fact, we'll look at that tonight, because we might have to divide and conquer. We made so many appointments that only one of us can go to this one while the other's going there.
Well, you guys are lucky you have a team. I saw a job posting too. That was pretty cool. It's not really a job per se. It sounds like. How much does that pay?
It's a use of time.
I thought I would test the waters and see if some likely candidate would pop up. But yeah, and I don't want to keep you, and Bruce probably has some questions, but I do think, and I put in, and a couple of other people did also, about the importance of everybody, but especially the artists, filling out the profile a little more. And how that came up is we were starting to write the little intros for each person that's going to be in our late night room.
Yeah.
Most of them we know anyway, because they've been on Bruce's show or something. But there were a couple I thought, well, I don't know them, so I'll just go right to their profile, and there was nothing there.
Yeah.
And so we called them and got some stuff, but I don't think they realize that that's where people are going to go look to make a decision about, what do I want to see late night? Oh, I got a good information on just clicking on this. So I'm glad that, you and some of the other folks put the same thing there, that, fill out your profile.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that to me is like one of the most powerful pieces of this app, because that's going to stay there and follow up after the conference. And first of all, can I just interject that I'm very jealous of the wine glasses in front of you right now?
Late.
Sorry. Well,
I know. It's just can't share. I went to Total Wines for as I was out picking up various other sundries for the conference, and so
yes, we couldn't be imbibing, but we just finished our dinner. That's why we just went on camera.
Oh, it's good. It's very good. You are on live stream though, so I hope it wasn't a big secret. You guys don't mind, but we can delete all this. You guys okay, so the other thing that I wanted to talk about, because I think we've got a lot of conversations going on in the community area, and well, let me put it this way. We've got a lot of topics started, but the problem, I think, and and I don't want to call anyone out because everybody's learning how to use this, and this is, I think, on us for not clarifying sort of some of the best practices for engaging in that community. But there's a lot of topics that are just sort of statements, and I think the best way to engage is by asking a question, because then you're going to prompt somebody to do an answer. And so there are a handful of the speakers that are out there that are, I think, preemptively putting topics out there that might be related to their workshop or otherwise, and that's awesome. But I would encourage people to start those conversations by asking a question. And then I would also suggest that you answer it. So if you do put a topic out there, maybe also add something underneath it to give people a little bit more information maybe about what you're looking for. Otherwise, we've just got a lot of clutter of things that aren't being engaged with. And so at some point, some of that stuff might get dropped off. But yeah, so that was one tip that I had. Yep, which I think would be great. Michael, did you have another question? You're back. I removed you.
Okay, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm just like all thumbs when it comes to stuff like this. And for instance, I've got my phone in front of me. I'm on the homepage basically.
Okay, yeah.
And here I go. I'll hit this thing that says messages. It's all the way on the right and on the bottom. And I get all these messages. They're not for me. And some of them go back to 2021.
Yeah.
And,
That came up in the last one. I'm sorry, just to interrupt. I did ask about that, and they said there's no kind of bulk delete. You can swipe away. He said right, but it's left. So, like, personally, I'm kind of, most of my messages are sort of, they're nice messages, but those messages messages that are in your messages are definitely to you, Michael. So they're not, so if you see something in there now, you may see something that's from the organizers and that goes to everybody. But if the messages are you personally, that's somebody sending you a private message of some sort. So I would definitely pay attention to those. But if they're all old, you can just delete them.
Yeah, I've got one that says upcoming events. I got one that says organizing team. And then the rest of them are, well, let's see, I got one from Nell. She got my message.
Your wife is messaging.
But I've sent the rest of them are messages that I have sent out, and nothing's come back. So I guess that's just the way it works. So when I get an answer, I should get the answer back. Should show up here.
The answer should show up there. You can click on it and drill down into it. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And does that work like messages would work on my phone, or like emails would work on my phone? If I get if I send a message out to somebody and they message me back, their message will show up and I can click on it. I can read the whole what do you call it?
The whole chain. Yep.
Yeah.
You can read the whole strand or, yeah.
Well, okay, so we're gonna have a couple of things that have gone, nothing's come back, so it's just me. So that's okay. That takes care of that. And another thing, I tried doing the scanning the card thing, and it was a mess.
You mean the QR? Wait, scan the who? Uh-oh, we just lost your audio.
No microphone.
There's 4 people.
You're not muted.
That was my mistake.
Okay.
So I was trying to make contact with somebody. She said, "Well, let's exchange information."
Okay.
And this thing comes up that says, "Well, you can scan your card," and that would. What I took from it was that will basically give all the information that you want. That's because everything's on the card. And I did that, and I take a picture of it and hit a button that says you're done or whatever. And Nothing ever came of it. I don't know where it went. I've never seen it since. The last thing that I remember seeing was some message saying that it would take 15 minutes to process, which didn't make any sense to me at all.
So back up. Was it somebody who contacted you and asked for your information?
Yeah, she said, let's.
Do you mind sharing who that was?
Sure, that was Sue Kessel.
Okay, so Sue reached out to you.
Yeah, well, I reached out to her first, and I didn't know any better, but with the stock question, I've recently found out. Sue, are you also attending forum? Hope to see you there. Have a chat. So that message, which is stock, and you can go in and edit it and change it and do whatever you want with it. So she answers, says, "I would like to exchange contact information with you." And there's a blue.
Yep. You're okay. My contact info. Okay.
It says view request. And
Yeah. Are you talking about the QR code?
No. At this point, unfortunately, I kind of don't know what I'm talking about. But what I wound up doing, after going through all that and having it not produce any kind of result that I can tell, I just answered her message in a standard message. Said, "Hi Sue, I'm still trying to get the hang of this thing. My email is, phone number is," and signed Michael August. So
Yeah.
that's where.
Honestly, in some cases, this just might be more hassle than than a typical email. Just sharing your phone number or your email might be. And so in some cases, I know that every attendee has their own unique QR code. Those can be used to share information. I have never done it. And so, I'd be learning along with you. But it's also a tool for checking in. So we could be using that, which we're not right now. We're going to the old school paper with a checkbox still, because we haven't learned enough about, all the ins and outs of it and bandwidth and whatnot. So, but those QR codes are just sort of built in as identifiers through the app. But if you're not talking about the QR code, I'm not 100% sure what you are talking about.
If you say QR code, I'm already in detail.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, and honestly, yeah.
See, the thing, what I'm getting is that this whole system is presented as something to make life easier, and I'm just not getting. I think I'm going to be one of the people that's going to be carting around the printed program. And
that's totally fine. It's that's kind of the gist of what I was getting at in the beginning. It's only easier if it's easier. So if you yourself are, and there's a lot of our community, myself sometimes included, who are technologically challenged or just maybe just not as comfortable with that kind of stuff, and you don't need to use it. So it's great that you want to try, and maybe what we should do is have some kind of some kind of little get together at the conference where we try to people help each other out with the app, and maybe by the end of the weekend you'll all be experts. And
I was wondering if the first timers like Charlie and Lee are doing something. Will they do a little quick if you're having trouble using the app, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. And we did do that demo last Tuesday where we did share the app and show folks how to go on and update your profile either through the app. I did I love a desktop personally. The tiny phone is great for little things, but I want to be able to use what's on. Oh, Marilyn's got her hand up. Hi.
Hi. I look okay. We're among friends, right?
Yeah, we're live streaming, so if you'd rather not be on screen, you just go ahead and stay off that, but it's up to you.
This is what I really look like.
You look amazing.
Sorry, I know there's lights over my head and everything, so I'm going to turn that off because it'll drive me crazy.
Yeah,
but
whatever.
here's my question.
Yep.
And that is, I just dropped in, just kind of lurking here. When I looked at the QR code too, Michael, I just said, oh no, I have enough things to learn this week, with many other things swirling around in my life. But what my experience has been in various organizations, not at all farm alone, but everywhere I go, when there is a new technological tool that is ultimately going to make everything easier, smoother, more interactive, more more homogeneous for us all to have the same kind of experience.
Mm-hmm.
There's almost always just what you're talking about. A little how-to session, a little get acquainted session,
Mm-hmm.
but almost without exception, the person who is conducting that session already has a thorough understanding of the app and does not grasp how foreign it is to the newcomer, to the technology, the technique, the form, whatever the memo is. I mean, this is going back, for me, this is going back into the 1970s. Time after time after time after time. What would be much simpler and more straightforward would be early on, before we get there, before we're together, is a real basic step by step, 1, 2, 3, a document. Or, I mean, it can be an email. I don't mean a physical document, but if you are just beginning with a kind of technology or communication tool,
Yeah.
it doesn't do any good to have somebody put up a PowerPoint or show their phone and bip, 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 bip through it so smoothly. See how easy it is? No, I can't even tell what you just did.
Yeah.
So this is what my suggestion would be when we are introducing new interactive tools.
Yeah.
Would be to really help somebody like me start from zero. I still stutter step when I'm at a restaurant and the menu is only available via QR code. I'm still like, what? That's just the cocktails. I'm the one, right? So it's taken me a year and a half now to learn that. I think it would be extremely helpful to begin with a primer. See
Yeah.
Dick, see Jane, see Dick and Jane.
I think what I hear you saying is you would have liked that about 2 months ago, probably when we were frantically working on things that didn't seem as, that seemed a little more time sensitive at the time. Yeah, I hear you.
Of course, and we understand where you're at too, but
Yeah.
we can't
Yeah.
bring people along and absorb more people into the faster communication stream
Yeah.
unless we can give them an on-ramp.
Yeah. Well, I will say this, and part of, I think, what has happened, I think you're absolutely right. I think that there is definitely a level of comfort that, and some assumptions that were made on our part because we had already used the app at the virtual event. But also, we're sort of focusing more on some very basic stuff with the app. We're not really using it to its fullest potential. And a lot of us who are organizing the conference don't even really have as wide a grasp on everything the tool is capable of, which is why we've been kind of primarily focusing on building out your profiles and sort of using the agenda, which seems to be the more, important thing. And then if you're comfortable engaging in the community area, then, and we've done some videos that we like to think are fairly easy to follow or slow down or click through. But I hear what you're saying. I confess it's probably unlikely that we're going to be creating a training document at this stage for this year, but certainly if we end up using it again next year, I hope the organizers hear what you're saying and take it into consideration, because I agree with you. But I see, you guys want to chime in? Louise, Bruce?
Yeah.
Yep.
A couple things. And the dialogue has really expanded my list of questions. So here goes. Sorry.
Well, that was good though.
Thank those of you openly confessing what you don't know has reminded me of all that I don't know, that plus. So
Yeah.
thank you. Is it Hoover or Hova?
Oh. That's
DJ,
beautiful.
No.
Well, I've heard it called many, many things, but I call it Hoover.
Okay.
It's
Like
been
that.
called by the organizers Hoover.
Hoover. Got
I
it.
just
Yep.
think of a vacuum.
Okay.
Yep.
Nip. That's great. Wi-Fi. How is the connectivity within the building? Promised and probably going to be delivered.
Well, first of all, content good news isn't actually being delivered through the app, so we don't have to worry so much about that. The live streaming, we're not doing any live streaming. So most of the content is already populated. So that isn't, the app should not be affected by it. However, I've been to the hotel a number of times and their Wi-Fi seems pretty great.
Okay.
So
cool.
we shouldn't, I don't know, I wouldn't encourage live streaming,
No, that's not what
but yeah.
The question is that it was shoddy, spotty,
Yeah.
inconsistent
She
at
knows.
best
She knows.
in Kansas City.
Yeah,
So
there's a lot
I
of
was
things that
there.
people missed because of that, but
Yeah,
good.
and we're all gonna experience this together. I have to say, the only thing I can say at this point is that I will be arriving at the hotel tomorrow, and I'm gonna find out pretty quickly if somehow the app is affected by that. And I can only just stress the good news is that we are not dependent on the app to run a really good conference. That anyone who's uncomfortable with the app does not need to be on the app. There's nothing I'm telling you via the app that you won't also get in an email. Every announcement we make on email is also, through the app is also being sent to via email. If you open the announcement on the app, that tells them you're engaged with the app within 10 minutes, they won't send the email. But if you don't, then you'll get it. We're also trying to stay on top of it with the other stuff. But yeah, fingers crossed, Wi-Fi is pretty good. So,
cool.
but it
How-
always drags when there's, 300 people using it.
Sure.
In
sure.
Louise's presentation, she's going to be using a computer. She'll bring her
Okay.
own computer.
Mhm.
We have a 6-foot HDMI cable. Will that be adequate, or should we buy a longer cable? I would prefer not to buy a longer cable, but any idea how that's going to work within the meeting room?
When you say 6-foot HDMI cable, are you also bringing a monitor?
No.
Okay.
Is there any kind of a monitor?
We had a room that we were going to include let's you and I, we'll talk about this offline because there'll be a monitor available. We just need to make sure it's where you need it. Because we're doing websites, you're doing the website
Yeah.
talk, so
Yeah.
you need to have it. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So
Yep. But
our-
a 6-foot should be plenty big enough.
Okay. Groovy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. What are the room capacities for the average conference room? So as I see people signing up, do I need to run, don't walk to the conference room? Do you feel that there'll be adequate seating
Great
Hmm.
question.
for most of the rooms?
That's a great question because honestly, it's our past experience is that while we may have 300 people registered for the conference, there might be 100 people who are actually attending the workshops, right? If that. And then there's 4 workshops simultaneous. Each of the rooms is set up with 40 chairs.
Okay.
There is plenty of space for more chairs in those rooms if we need to steal from another room or the ballroom or elsewhere. The people each one of the workshop rooms will have a volunteer at the door who is able to go get chairs for you or send somebody to get chairs for you if you need it. A lot of people like to just stand around the perimeter because they like to go in and out, So, and every one of these workshops, we hope, will be recorded unless for some reason, there's a couple of mental health style workshops that may or may not
Suitable.
they may need to be safe spaces for people to feel comfortable and not have
I think that's great.
Okay.
That's really fantastic.
Yeah.
Louise has asked about lighting. Will that,
Oh,
Well, the reason I'm asking this is having done many, many late night showcase rooms, and I realize we're going to be in more meeting rooms instead of hotel guest rooms. Is the lighting going to be like stark fluorescent? Should I bring some Christmas lights to
Of
give
course.
some atmosphere? You know, we want to have some atmosphere.
you want ambiance. Absolutely.
Right,
Yep.
Lights.
the other thing is, has there been any thought, and this is a topic of conversation that is kind of near and dear to my heart, and I don't need an answer now, but are you aware of any conversation that gears more towards moving these conferences from Sunday to Wednesday than Wednesday to Sunday, because you can work to the conference and work from the conference if Monday and Tuesday are not the working nights?
You know, Bruce, I'm telling you that has come up annually.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, annually it gets talked about. And I don't honestly know what I want to say that I think that there's a day job aspect to a lot of what some of the folks who come to the conference.
Mhm.
For example, a lot of our, house concert hosts are day jobbers. Our DJs also have day jobs. I have heard that most of them probably wouldn't mind taking the time off if it was a 3-day in the middle of the week. So, honestly, it just has become such a habit to keep doing them on the weekends, the ways we have them. Everybody has kind of kept going. So who knows? Maybe next year Farm will change things. I don't know. I'm passing the torch.
Right.
And I hear tell that maybe somebody's, interested in that. So yeah, I think it's a compelling idea.
Excellent, because that is something that I'm really passionate about.
I know. I would encourage you to keep pestering people on that. So,
For me,
but
I think Mondays and Tuesdays are the hardest nights to book gigs.
yeah,
Artists, so why not be at the conference instead?
Yeah.
That's the compelling thing for me, but
Right.
Well, you're going to spend the money anyway, and you can't work on Monday and Tuesday. That's worth
Yeah.
working at. So, and if you were, you wouldn't be going to the conference in the first place. So it just winds itself around, I think.
yeah.
But I'm looking forward to seeing how tall you people really are.
Not very.
I have shrunk, but I have heels.
Annie's tall.
But you shoulder the world, so
No, this is very different than I expected it to be, and I almost canceled it because we had so few people register, and I mean, at the time at 8:05, Michael and I were the only ones hanging out. But it's good conversation, and anybody who's watching is gonna hear some interesting stuff. And so I just had a couple of things while we're still alive. Today is the last day to purchase meals if you have not already purchased them. I've announced this. I've sent private messages to people who did not buy meals, and we have sent ample reminders. We have to give the count to the hotel, and they want to know. So very, very limited numbers will be available on site. So that's for the rest of you, those of you guys here.
I noticed that the meals are not returnable Monday morning. which I thought-
Yes, right, exactly. The menus are out there as well, and I apologize. I shouldn't be pointing out flaws, but the website's gotten a little bit neglected in the throes of the last few crunch times getting things together at the last minute, dotting the I's and checking typos and whatnot. Not that there won't be 100 million other typos and many mistakes. Again, I say, this is one of the benefits of the app. I will personally sit down with anybody who wants a tutorial on the app, and I will go slow. I'm fine with that. So, and we're here. But I think I pretty much said everything I wanted to say from
Last
my
question.
side of things.
Last question, I'm sorry to interrupt. Will there be the help center at FAI, there was a booth where you could go if you didn't understand what was
Yep.
going on. And-
There's
and-
an entrance, the info table, pretty much right at the entrance. I'll probably tend to hang out in that vicinity because it's going to be run by volunteers. And I've had a pretty good crew who's been meeting with me weekly for the last, I don't know, 6 months. And they're pretty well looped in. But the registration area is a little bit different. And as always, we're going to have a big old map, and we're creating as many signs as we possibly can so people know where they're going, because it's not a huge area, but it's different than the last one. And if you've never been, then it's all new. And this is our first year in this venue, so we're going to learn what works and what doesn't. And who knows? I mean, next year, hopefully, we may love the conference room idea for private showcases, but we may also be like, I like hotel rooms better. So, yeah.
Mike,
I'm
I got-
personally looking forward to the bigger spaces. But you should be having, those of you who are, have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. I loved seeing you, Marilyn. I'm glad your face is there. You're not on the live stream right now. Out of courtesy, I didn't force you out there, but Michael's been out there on the live stream all this time. Sorry. Hope you don't mind, buddy. Did you have any more questions, Michael?
I'm sure I do, and I'll think of all of them after we get off the.
I know, right? It's fine. I'm going to go load my car. I've got about a dozen ginormous plastic tubs to stuff in my car. Anybody who's arriving tomorrow want to help me unload? Just kidding.
One thing, we will be getting in on Wednesday.
Okay, cool.
We're
Lots of people are.
We're driving up from Nashville, and we just didn't want to wear ourselves out on Thursday,
Good thinking.
start out exhausted.
Yeah. I'm pretty excited. I think it's going to be super fun. We've got some great events, and certainly some amazing talent will be there, and awesome workshops, and, just all around good people. So we're going to have a blast, and conference at farmfolk.org is where you find me. And I'll be trying to respond as quickly as I possibly can. So everybody who's out there in the ether land, thanks for tuning in. If you tuned in expecting something else, sorry. But we had a nice chat. And those of you who really have pressing questions and showed up, thank you. And we'll see you in a few days.
Have a safe. So
All
long.
right.
How exciting is that? And I'm